Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm doing good. Well, I saw in an interview you did previously say that from the start, zombies never really spoke to you, even without diving into their origins. So I'm curious what kind of movie monster or horror subgenre you are interested in.
Okay. So I guess before making this film, I wasn't into horror at all. Like my entry point to this story was very much through learning that it had its connections in Haitian voodoo and stories of slavery in the African diaspora, and that is why I decided to make this film. But then, as I started making the film and as I started researching, and of course, I had to watch every single zombie film that's ever been made, I actually developed a real appreciation for horror. And so that's things like have very much changed. I've been working on this film for over 10 years. So I've seen a lot of horror since then. And when the newest, latest horror comes out, I'm usually keen to watch. And I find horror can be a really effective um, genre to use to tell some really powerful, meaningful stories. So now I'm pretty open. If the story is good and the message is interesting, I'm all for it. Like I really enjoyed the suspense and humor of like weapons and I'm like I'll watch more alternative, like I guess not traditional horror. Like I always say, Atlantics is my favorite zombie film. So yeah, I'm very open. It's definitely things have changed since I made this
Yeah.
film.
And what was your first encounter with zombie media? Like, did you watch Night of the Living Dead when you were a kid, or what was your first time seeing a zombie?
Oh, the first time seeing a zombie, I think probably 28 Days Later. I'm like a child of the 90s. So I definitely remember seeing 28 Days Later in cinema. Um, and yeah, I think Night of the Living Dead, I I've seen clips of it over the years, but I didn't watch the full thing in its entirety until I started making this film.
And then you've been working on this film for 10 years. What got you interested in exploring this connection between zombies as we know them today and then tracing them back to their origins within Haitian culture and voodoo and exploring that side of them? That
Yeah, so by background, I'm Afro-Caribbean. My father was born in Jamaica. And for me, like I've always been interested in stories and history that connects the Black diaspora back to West Africa to learn our history, to learn our origin. We're often told this history doesn't exist anymore. It was never recorded in the history books. It's always through like these textbooks that were written by like European Western lenses. So like our actual like culture, history has disappeared. But as I grew up, like I realized that's not true. It's there's traces of this, clues of this in like different cultural elements, whether it's our music, our food, and most powerfully our spiritual traditions. So things like Vodou, Candomblé, Santeria have always been very interesting to me as places to learn more about my history. And so when I found out the zombie is connected to Haitian Vodou and is this metaphor for slavery, like that just blew my mind. And I knew I had to make this film.
and you talk to a lot of people kind of within the zombie sphere throughout the film, like Tom Savini, who brought gore to the genre, or Wade Davis, the author of The Serpent and the Rainbow, the film which gets like heavily kind of focused on throughout the film. Was there anyone you reached out to or wanted to speak to feature in the film, but couldn't get for whatever reason?
I'm gonna put him on blast. Okay, so the person I really wanted in the film, who didn't make it in the film, was Jordan Peele. Because I think Get Out is actually a true zombie film. I think this idea of losing agency, the way you do in Get Out, is actually truer to the Haitian Vodou zombie metaphor. And I also know that he was very much inspired by the end of Night of the Living Dead when he redid the end of Get Out. And I always thought that was a very interesting story. So I would have loved to feature that in the film.
You think now is kind of the perfect moment to showcase Black Zombie at South by Southwest and hopefully getting a wider release later with there being kind of, I don't know, especially like within the last decade or so, like more Black filmmakers, more Black focused horror films with Jordan Peele's films or like His House. I mean, most recently probably Sinners. Do you think now is kind of this perfect time to like really educate people? Like Black people have always been have had this place within horror despite like kind of being pushed aside.
Yeah, I mean, I think any time is the time to learn our history and learn where things come from. I think that's really important. But this film is so relevant now, I think, because there is, I started making this film 10 years ago. Since then, so much has happened. George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, a real understanding of how important it is to have this history and these narratives in the public sphere so we don't forget, so that we really stop, vilifying Black bodies. And I think it's really important to have films like this here and also vilifying Black culture, and also what's happening in Haiti and what's happening with Haitian immigrants in the United States. Like all of this is why it's so important to talk about this film right now. And yeah, like Black horror is proving to be super powerful and like such an effective a form of filmmaking. People love, Sinners. People love Get Out. So let's like let's support more Black horror. Like, yeah. So that's definitely something, an outcome that I would love to see more of.
As you're making the film over the course of these 10 years, were there any setbacks or challenges? I mean, I imagine like COVID had to have had to push things back a little bit.
Yeah, we started first, once we finally got all of our funding, we started first day of principal, March 2020 in LA.
Oh,
Like we were there. Some of the shots in LA that I have are very like empty and sparse because no one was there because everything had shut down. We had to go home. So I had to put the production on pause. But the real challenge that really like still like hurts and saddens me today is that for me, so much of the film was really showing Haiti in a different light than what we're used to seeing in the news. Often the news portrays it as this like dangerous, corrupt place, and I wanted to show like the amazing cultural events and festivities that happen around Vodou in Haiti. And so I shot some stuff before COVID and before the assassination of the president. And I was hoping to go back and like shoot these festivals with like very high production value. And that was like my dream. And unfortunately, like with the assassination of the president, things have just become so, so dire in the country. And like everyone I worked with, even on the film, my crew, like everyone who could has left. And these are people who love their country, didn't want to leave at all. So that was really tough not to be able to go back and shoot these festivals in the way we were hoping to.
and were there any zombie films you wanted to show in the film, but or have people analyze in the film, but maybe there wasn't enough time to get them in there?
Oh, I think that like I'm pretty happy with, like, for me it was always focusing on the film that brought the zombie to Hollywood, which was you know the oh my gosh, White Zombie. The inspiration for the title of my film, Black Zombie, inspired by the book Magic Island by Seabrook, and then of course Night of the Living Dead, which is why we all know the zombie today as this flesh-eating monster, which kind of like pivoted the zombie into what it is now and the repercussions of that. And then I think, Serpent and the Rainbow was really important because it brought the Haitian zombie back to the fore. And it's a reason a lot of people who might not really know, you know, that the zombie, like exactly what the origin story of the zombie is, but they know it might be from Haiti. There might be some white powder involved that you blow on, like all these kind of little things that are in our brain, but we don't really know why. A lot of that comes from that movie, which was inspired by that book. So I thought that was really important to have in the film as well.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. Congratulations on getting Black Zombie into South by Southwest. Are you in the midst of working on anything else? Are you taking a break after Black Zombie
Yeah,
premieres?
actually, so speaking of my love of horror now, I'm actually working on I have a background in scripted as well, so I'm working on a horror script that's inspired by my great 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 grandmother who used to work on the ships in Jamaica and saved, like, this was right after slavery ended, and saved all of her money in gold and buried it in her backyard, and then it disappeared. So it's kind of a ghost story based around the story of my great 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 grandmother.